Welcome to the next edition of the Art of Women Tampa Bay Art Chat. And I'm so excited today to have a wonderful resource and someone who's helped me tremendously in my business, Davey Jay, who is an entertainment and business lawyer that actually resides in Orlando. And I have had the honor of meeting her in person and also talking to her by phone and Zoom to get advice and to keep me on track with my intellectual property. And I wanted to read just a little bit about her. She's been in practice for 15 years, and she's worked with clients that are in big high-level industries: HBO, Warner Chappell, Discovery, Telemundo, Sony, Columbia. She's worked with Oscar and Emmy and Grammy winners. And to me, Davey is someone that I trust. And that's not something that I say lightly. I'm small, but I'm very careful who I rely on. And so I am going to pitch it over to her to give us any other little tidbits of her bio. I could go on and on about how wonderful she is. And then we're going to dig into some really cool questions that I think many of us are interested in. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Renee. I think you pretty much covered it. Yeah, I do entertainment and a lot of intellectual property, which is what we're going to be talking about today. I'm a big nerd for that kind of stuff. So I'm really happy that I can chat with you about it today. It's fun for me.
Great. And also on your bio sheet that I asked for your firm to send, at the top, I love this. It says, protecting the inspired with advice, negotiations, rights enforcement, and killer contracts. So, we all out here that are grinding it, entrepreneurs, we're doing some really cool stuff. And I know that in order to take it to that next level and protect it, takes time and money and the right expertise. So I want to just dig right in with talking specifically about trademarks and copyrights. What's the difference? Who needs them and why?
Great question. First I want to say, as an entrepreneur myself and as a partner at the firm, I understand where you're at and where other entrepreneurs are at with their needs and being tugged in all these different directions and needing the help of professionals. Cause I'm a huge fan of, bring in somebody who that's what they do, like accounting. I got a bookkeeper, I got an accountant. I wouldn't touch it. But right. So absolutely. I'm a big fan of that. But as far as, copyrights and trademarks go, anybody that's in the entertainment or media industry whatsoever in any facet of that, they really need to understand those two things because they are absolutely fundamental to their business and their ability to succeed and to protect themselves. So what we're looking at generally is two different forms of intellectual property that protect different things in very different ways. So a trademark is what we call source identifier. So it's all about brand. So if you think in your mind, what triggers somebody's brand, that's where trademark protection comes in. So that means name, logo, slogan, jingle, things like that. When you hear da 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 da.
Okay. And just for an example, I know some of the folks that follow me know that I have Power Hack Playbook is my success coach coaching program. And I worked with you on the phrase power hack. Mm-hmm. And as it pertains to coaching and consulting, I own that now.
Correct.
And you helped me file that with the federal government. I have a certificate that says power hack is a protected phrase for me to use in that regard. So, yes. Okay. So that kind of brings it to life for some of us here. So go ahead.
Yeah. So that's your registered trademark. And the reason why we do that, the reason why we register a trademark with the federal government, the United States Patent and Trademark Office, is because it amplifies your ability to protect it. So when you start using a mark in business, like a business name or a slogan, you can develop what we call common law trademark rights under state law but there's not a whole lot of enforcement power there. Versus the federal registration, among other things, expands your geographic territory. So now you're like, nationwide, as opposed to just within the state or your geographic region. And two, it greatly expands your enforcement power. And the beauty in that is it helps you tell other people to back off and behave without having to sue them.
Right. Okay. And then, to that point, if I were someone that just started using something and, basically like I Googled it and I'm like, oh, I don't see it anywhere. And I'm the first one to use it and I just keep using it. Someone then starts using it, whether on purpose or not, and I find out about it. I'm more protected and have more teeth in having my lawyer send a cease and desist, which is a scary letter that says you're not allowed to do that. Yes. When I have it filed at the federal government level, rather than that I don't. Right? Okay.
Exactly. And sometimes that registration, you might not even be able to stop the other party without the registration because of that geographic restriction you don't have without registration. Okay. So, you being in the Tampa Bay area, if there was somebody, for example, in the Pacific Northwest offering similar services, well, they would argue, well, I'm in this geographic territory.
You're not hurting me, that they're not hurting me or impeding my business. Okay. So they can make that argument. Right.
Possibly. Yeah. So that's one of the real benefits to the federal registration is you automatically knock everybody else out. And, the way things are today with so much dependent on being online, my position is, does the territory even matter anymore?
I know. Yeah. So getting that broader scope. Okay. Protection. Mm-hmm. Okay. So then go into copyright. Okay. Which we also did with the Power Hack, the actual online course. Go ahead.
For sure. So copyright is, instead of with trademarking, you think brand, copyright, think art. So art in all of its many forms. So that could be, paintings, photography, literature, film, video games, choreography, music composition, sound recordings, anything creative really. And copyright gives the owner of that work the ability to control how it's used. And it's a much stronger right than trademark because it's much more restrictive for other people. Right. But you can register it and should register it, much like with your trademark. With copyright, your rights vest in you the minute you create this work. Okay. But you can't sue anybody until you have a registration with the U.S. Copyright Office. Okay. And that's the only place that the registration matters. Okay. People tend to think, I'll mail it to myself. That just gets you mail. Right. If you want mail it to yourself.
Okay. That's an important step to be able to sue them and have a lawyer that's willing to send a cease and desist letter. And I think I'll comment on that because I think a lot of times, sometimes, just the cease and desist letter can scare people off enough. Yeah. Sometimes for them to go, whoa, she lawyered up and this is a legit deal. Let me back off. I don't want to, so sometimes you don't have to litigate or move forward. And just for purposes of this lay people are listening to this, just define intellectual property and cease and desist letter.
Okay. So intellectual property refers to basically 5 different areas of law that protect or give you rights to more or less things you create. So copyright, trademark, patent, which is more like science and inventions, trade secrets, and then your right of publicity as well, which is the right to control commercial use of your name or likeness. And a cease and desist letter is just a letter from an attorney that says, hey, cut it out or else.
Right. Okay.
It's basically the legal version of your mom counting back from 3.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And just, in my movie, Because of Sam, you look over my shoulder, there's a poster there of Sam Piazza, the feature focus of Because of Sam, pointing. And then I worked with artist Lakima Matthew, who I had a contract with, work for hire contract. And she graphically created this together with me, this image, which we copyrighted at the federal level. I worked with you on that. So, and we've got shirts and things like that. Now talk to me about on this image. I haven't yet, so this is real-time learning and teaching. I have not yet, and I have the business cards and I have shirts. I haven't added any kind of a symbol. And at this point, I would add a C to this to protect it further. What if I don't add the C? I legally do have the rights to this image, but talk to me a little bit about that.
Okay, so that C in a circle, that's what we call copyright notice. So C in a circle, the year the work was published, and the name of the owner is the full notice, or you can just do the C in the circle or the word copyright. That's kind of like a no trespassing sign.
Okay.
It tells the world this work is protected. It's mine, back off. You don't have to have it. It's not legally required. However, if you do use copyright notice in connection with your work and somebody does infringe your work, then you're entitled to higher damages in court. So again, that makes that cease and desist letter all the more threatening.
Okay. So you can put the C there and say it's your original work without filing it with the federal government for a copyright, but it gives you, tell me more about if I do put this C there and I do it right, what do I get with that if somebody goes and uses this? Like right now I don't have the C there, but how much, talk to me about how much that matters.
There's a whole range, but if the work is registered, and if the work was registered within 3 months of the date of publication, meaning 3 months of the date that it was made available to the public for sale, lending, lease, or gift. So if it was registered timely, or when it was unpublished, so that's registered timely, and you have copyright notice on the work, you can sue for up to $250,000 per infringement, plus all of your attorney's fees and court costs.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
That's pretty scary.
That is. All right. Let's move to my final point. A lot of artists that I promote and that have been in the Art of Women events that I produce have amazing websites and beautiful art. Some of them put watermarks on their images when they put them up there. Some of them have stores where they sell them, online stores. Talk to me about protections, thoughts you have on, I see the watermarks, but ways that people might be less apt to rip off your work. And I know we've talked about some of it already, but comment on any of that.
Yeah, the watermark is great because it's a deterrent. Of course, it's not foolproof. Anytime you build a lock, someone's going to learn how to pick it, so it's not a guarantee, but it certainly is extremely helpful. And especially if you incorporate into your watermark that copyright symbol, the more beneficial to you, for sure.
Good point. Okay.
Yeah. So, and again, it's not legally required that you do that, but it does minimize the likelihood that you will find your work has been ripped off.
Gotcha.
And the nature of the internet these days, it can be extraordinarily difficult when somebody does steal your work, especially if they're in a different jurisdiction.
Right.
In the States, that's great. We can go after them. But if they're, in another country, that makes it really hard. And, people know that, unfortunately.
Sure. Okay. Well, I try to keep these bite-sized and wanted to start leaning towards wrapping it up. Is there any pearls of wisdom, anything that you really want to drive home? I've explained my audience, and I'm going to be sharing this with everyone, all my social media outlets, but my focus of my folks that I love to help are women creatives, and I know you're passionate about that as well. Being a female, you're a partner in your firm, and your other partner is a female as well. There's two of you.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. Niche services. I love working with you for that reason as well. But anyway, go ahead with any pearls of wisdom or anything that you could say to someone out there that that's small, and kind of where to start with all this, because not everybody can afford necessarily to jump right in with doing everything right, legally protect everything 100%, but they want to create, so I really want to give them some encouragement on where to start right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And believe me, I fully understand that position. So, first and foremost is search out some good resources, authoritative resources. We all know that the internet can be just like the Wild West and God only knows what's out there. Right. So be careful, but at the same time, look for good resources. So like on my firm's website and on our Facebook page, we have like, video seminars and blog posts and stuff like that about copyright and trademark and how to do it properly and all of that stuff, which can really help you arm yourself as an entrepreneur, as a creative, because knowledge is power, like they've been saying since the after school specials and things like that, like really arming yourself with that knowledge as to what your rights are and what you can do to protect yourself is the best way to get started. Because really a strong foundation, there's nothing better.
Yeah. Do your research, and study in the right places. That's such the good point that's free information on your website. And I know sometimes you'll hop on Instagram, and you'll give some free stuff, and you have some good messaging on Instagram, and you have some other outlets too, which is a good segue into share with us, and I'll get them from you, later to put in all of these posts, but share your website and any particular platforms or things you'd like to plug, and how people can reach you.
Of course. Yeah. So the firm is Meehle Jay. So our website is meehle.com. That's M like Mississippi, EEHLE.com. And then our socials on, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, all the places. Those are all Meehle Jay. And yeah, like we've got, a good amount, we try to keep a good amount of frequent, new content coming because, we're huge fans of educating the public. Like we totally understand that, getting education is key. And so we try as much as possible to push that out there because, we're not in competition with education. So we think it's important for everybody to have.
Right. And I also want to add, the two ways that you can work, I'm telling my viewers, with lawyers in general, and Davey, comment if there's more, is, some of it's project specific where they'll kind of spec out the scope of what you got going on and what you need. You do a contract with the lawyer, and the payment and everything's in there, the terms. Or you can do a retainer where you give them money on kind of through a contract, and they can draw down from a certain amount of money, where one day when I get big and huge and famous, I'll, get a retainer with Davey and just say, hey, how much money I have left in there? Is there any, what else can you do under that existing, amount that we've got set? And, you just kind of draw on it and just kind of, keep it in your bank account and just draw down on it. So any other ways, just to educate people. But that's my experience with lawyers I've worked with.
Right. Yeah, so absolutely. So we got the flat fee, which is the first you mentioned, and then the hourly, which is billed against the retainer. And then we also, at our firm, we offer what we call outside general counsel, which is basically based on whatever the client's needs are. We do a set monthly retainer amount, and that encompasses basically all of their contract drafting, negotiation advice. Like there's no hourly billing involved.
Got
Just whatever you need. It's a subscription service basically. And the only thing that's excluded is like litigation, because that's a totally different ball game. But
and I'll say this, and this happens with me with consultancy too. It's, in defense of lawyers and people who have such great knowledge, it's really important to do your homework before you get on the phone with them or think you want to, not on purpose, but milk them for information that, you should be paying them for. And lawyers are good at not letting that happen. But it does help when you're armed with the knowledge. And I don't want to intimidate people that you have to know everything to get on the phone with them. And Davey's great. Her staff's great. But they'll set up a consult. You kind of email or talk and can run by her what it is you're looking for. And she's such a quick study and so easy to work with. She'll size it up and, tell you how much it will cost. So, but being able to be brief with, what you're needing, you're not going to call a lawyer for a consultation and sit there and think they're going to give you, they went to law school and have all this knowledge. They're not going to give it to you for free. But there's a lot of tips that you can get initially, I believe, in that consult that can kind of help you feel and get that bond, because it is important to bond with and trust who it is that you're going to pick as your lawyer too. Conversely, it's a dance. So
absolutely,
a good lawyer knows how to do that. And I think you do that well.
Thank you. Yeah, and I think it's so important for people to find somebody to work with, not only that they gel with, you know, like you get along and you feel comfortable with them and all of that. That's hugely important. But also in finding that attorney or that person to work with you, it's really important to search them out like you would anybody else you hire. You know, I've found sometimes people get intimidated. I'm like, no, find an attorney who's got experience in your area, you know, understanding what you do. You know, you don't want somebody who does, uh, personal injury, you know, doing your intellectual property, just like you don't want your dermatologist doing your heart surgery. No offense to dermatologists.
Good point. Yep. Yep.
It's just different areas of expertise. And so you just want to make sure that whoever you're seeking out that consultation with is a good fit subject matter and experience wise.
Well, thank you. And I do want to say this is not a paid advertisement, and I'm here. This is a mutual admiration society kind of thing. I just wanted to bring a resource here that would help folks in the creative world. And thank you, Davey, for being on the Art of Women Tampa Bay Art Chat. And we'll be in touch, and hopefully we can do some more of these little brief coaching sessions for folks.
I'd love that. Thanks so much.